In this video, I wanted to focus on how to get the right and the proper distance away from the bag. A lot of mistakes that beginners make is they crowd the bag. They're way too close, so when they throw a jab, they're not getting their full extension and not getting full power on the jab. And when they throw a cross, they're just way too close. It's almost like you're in a position to throw a hook. So, very common mistake, and you need to get the right distance on the bag. And of course, getting distance on the bag will also translate getting the right distance on the opponent. So, number one thing is, for straight punches, you should be at the end of the jab hitting the bag, and you need to be fully extended on the cross and at the end of the punch so it hits the bag. You should not be getting so close to where you throw a jab and you're not getting that full extension. Might as well throw a hook, but that's all about the distance control. Or you should not be throwing a cross and not getting this full extension. You need to be getting the full twist, the torque, and you need to be at the end of your punches when the cross and the jab lands. So for the straight punches, you need to get full extension. That's going to be the right distance. For the hook and the uppercut, the other two strikes, the fundamental four is your jab, your cross, your hook, and your uppercut. For the hook and the uppercut, you need to be a little bit closer. All right? But also, it's all about maintaining and knowing that distance. When you get to the bag, you need to know where you are in order to throw them and how far away you need to be in order to land for the straight strikes as well as for the in clinch close-up strikes. So, here is how to gauge distance, to decide where you need to stand, where you need to be, and then you need to be super aware of that distance at all times, so you always know how close you need to get in order to land your straight strikes, as well as how close you need to be to land the hook and the uppercut. So for the jab and the cross, here's how you find the perfect distance. Take your jab and extend it fully, as if you're throwing it, but then keep it out there. So here, in the moment, if I'm just throwing my jab without doing any footwork, we're not going to focus on moving closer to the bag and then throwing it. We're only going to focus on getting the distance first. So if I just stand here in my fight stance and I throw my jab out, I am too far. I could compensate by maybe extending, twisting my body, leaning forward a little bit, but that's not what I want at the moment. I want to find that distance. So you just stick your jab out and then you begin to inch your way until the jab touches the bag, just barely, just making contact. That's your distance to throw the jab, right here. Note this distance. When you're close to this bag, right at this moment, I can throw my jabs. And that's where I need to be. That's the perfect distance for my jab. To find a distance for the cross, same thing. For the cross, you can be a little bit further because you're getting more of the torque and the twist of the hips. So, same thing. You simply take your cross, you fire it out, and just hold it there. If you're too far, you're going to be too far away from the bag. So you need to inch your way until your cross touches the bag. This is the distance for my cross to land. And all you need to do is just touch the bag right there. Because I will drive through and I'll get the power when I begin to punch. I'll get a little extra inch or two because of my twist and explosiveness. I'll be able to actually put more power behind it through the bag. But right here, right there, that's my distance for the cross. So the jab and the cross, they're pretty much within the same footwork, same distance away from the bag. If you can land a jab, that means you can land a cross. And the cross will actually have a little bit more drive through because you're naturally within perfect distance for each of these strikes, and the cross just has more reach automatically, just by nature of the cross. So that's how you find the distance for both of these strikes, right there. And from here, you can now begin to drill. And you should notice where you are and how far away you are from the bag. This is going to give you, you need to kind of make that mental note that this is your striking range now. If you're further away, you're outside the striking range. So now I can just step in and I will already know where I need to be in order to start delivering my strikes. Just based on the practice and the training that I've done, I know exactly how far I need to be in order to start landing. But you need to find that distance and you need to know it. And you need to know it so well that automatically next time you train and you just, as soon as you come up to the bag, you already know you're within that striking range for your cross and for your jab. And at this point, you now begin to drill. Just stand in the distance, in the perfect distance for your jab and your cross, and begin to throw. Don't implement any footwork yet. Just begin to throw your jab and your cross. Throw your jab, maybe individually, maybe chain it together with the jab cross, you know, as a combination, or maybe just drill your cross in order to find, you know, perfect distance and kind of begin to have your brain associate the distance and how far you need to be to land this. Now, another important note on the cross, like I mentioned, you can be a little bit further away. So you could be outside the striking range for your jab. You could be a little further out and still throw it and not quite hit without, you know, not having to lean forward just from your fight stance. But from here, I'm not touching it with the jab, but I can still connect with a cross just because of the reach of the cross. So I can still connect with my cross. I can be further away. So very important to know that your cross has a lot more reach than you actually think. And it all comes from the twist and the rotation of the body and the full extension of the hand right there. So implement this as well. You can be outside the striking range for your jab, but the cross will still connect. So this is another good drill you can implement, just throwing your cross what seems to be outside the striking range, but you can still hit it. Next is the other two strikes, your lead hook and your rear uppercut. So for these, you naturally have to be closer in order to land them. There are variations of the lead hook and the rear uppercut to where you could be a little further away within the striking range here, and you can still throw a hook within the jab distance, and a cross, you can still throw an uppercut. But those are a little bit more, they're a variation of a proper and a fundamental uppercut and hook, because they're more of an extended uppercut and extended hook in order to get more distance. But in order to throw the fundamental hook, you need to be a little bit closer within the clinch range, a lot closer than you know, from here, I'm not throwing any jabs and I'm not throwing any crosses. I'm now transitioning into clinch work, into in close combat, to where now I can utilize my hook and my uppercut. But you find these distances doing the same thing. A lot of guys, they might stand way too close or way too far to throw them. So to figure that out, where that distance is, so you can start drilling it before you start adding variations to it, is just simply take your hook, throw it in the proper form, and then begin to inch your way towards the bag until it touches. So right here, this is my distance for the cross, for the hook. So now I can stand here and I can begin to drill. Same thing for the uppercut. Just simply step back a little bit, throw your uppercut. So right here, this is my uppercut. I'm too far away, so I'm gonna inch myself closer until I'm touching the bag. And it's gonna be the same distance for the hook. So if you can land the hook, same spot, you can land an uppercut. And then begin to drill your uppercut. So take these 4 strikes and break them down into 2 different ranges. You have your straight shot range, your jab and your cross, and then you have your in close range, which is your hook and your uppercut. And then begin to implement just moving towards the bag, just walking around, and knowing exactly where you need to be in order to strike. move around. Right here, I am within range. I am within range here for the hook and uppercut. You just kind of move around the bag, and as soon as you get into that range, you fire up 2 strikes. Or individually. You can just throw just a jab. As soon as you're within range for the jab, throw the jab. And just that, nice and slow, in order to work on your distance. Same for the cross. Remember, all fights start outside the striking range, and you need to get yourself inside. And that distance, knowing where you need to be in order to begin landing, crucial. So drilling this will help get in the right distance. Find that distance first, gauge it, and then begin to drill it. Just moving, firing, moving out. Moving, touching the bag, moving out. Getting closer. Outside. Now, once in a while you can implement that far-reached cross. Find that distance for the cross that can really connect. Can't touch the bag, but my cross can. Outside. Now I'm outside of any striking range. You need to get so good at this distance control so that you can fire off and know exactly how close you need to be to touch the bag. So this is how you get the perfect distance and begin to drill it. And before you start adding any footwork, any fancy side movement or head movement, get this distance down first. Remember, fully extend on your jab. Fully extend and twist on your cross. Don't crowd the bag. Find that distance and just drill it with a simple drill where you just outside striking range, within striking range for the straight punches, within striking range for the in-close hook and uppercut. So drill this and get really good with distance. Now, getting this distance is just one of many important parts of using your strikes and put them on target. In the very first course I put together, Fundamental 4, I go into depth on how to execute the 4 fundamental strikes, the essential strikes you need to know and you need to master. And it's going to be your jab, your cross, your hook, and your uppercut, the same ones that I showed you how to get the proper distance with them. Now, to throw them correctly, there are many things that are implemented for each one of these. There are many things that you have to keep in mind for the jab, same for the cross in order to throw with full power, same for the hook, and same for the rear uppercut. In the course, I go into depth about each of these strikes, and then I'll also go and show you how to throw them in combinations. So this course is over 4 hours. If you want to go and do a deep dive and learn the proper fundamentals of striking so you can improve your striking, get the course. There'll be a link in the description box, or somewhere if you're watching this on the website, there'll be a link to get the course as well.